going to continue to adventure with the Bad Batch. We're getting a glimpse into the future of the Street Fighter franchise. And I've got a review of Nicolas Cage's new movie, Pig. All that and the latest and everything cool today in The Rundown. Hey, welcome to The Rundown, everybody. My name is Victor Lucas, and I'm so glad that you found the Electric Playground. Thank you for joining us. And just a quick reminder, we are starting to do the Rundowns as a live stream on twitch.tv/EPN. It's very simple, very easy to remember, twitch.tv/EPN. So join us there and join this awesome chat that follows along as we go into the news. And we will do live shows. We'll also play some games together. All right, let's get started with our show today, which is brought to you by the Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation. They've got tournaments happening every single weekend that you do not want to miss out on, and you can find out all about them at tgs.gg. All right, I got a great dedication today from a gentleman named Robbie Stroud, who wrote a very nice comment on the last rundown, but I'm just going to pull this little bit out here. Mornings just aren't mornings without, most would say, their cup of coffee. I say mornings just aren't mornings without watching Victor give me the rundown. And Robbie, you wrote a lot of other sweet things, too sweet for me to talk about right here. I'd start to blush. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Whether you watch this in archived form or you join us for the live, I'm just happy that you're here. Thank you for your support. Now, let's get started with your rundown. Some fantastic news from a galaxy far, far away. The Bad Batch has been renewed for a second season. Not a big surprise. This show came out and was a sensation right out of the gate. I've been loving this season. It is such a phenomenal, distilled next step with the Star Wars animated stuff for sure. It carries on the Filoni-verse, but it's also great integration with the lore in general. You just feel like you're watching slivers of the filmed universe, and it's because the focus is primarily on this squad and their adventure and their sort of perspective on the upheaval that's going on around them. It's an incredible show, and I'm so excited that season 2 is coming. StarWars.com obviously had a big article there, and Dave Filoni has some quotes talking about how excited he is and how happy he is that people picked up on the Bad Batch. It's a little bit of a weird one if you never watched any of the Star Wars animated stuff, but because the storytelling is quite contained, all you have to know, actually, I'm going to let the star of the show, D. Bradley Baker, and the head writer and the director of the show explain it for me. Can you tell us who these characters are? I mean, apart from their names, which kind of define some of their characteristics, what's the difference between these characters and who are they?
The Bad Batch they're a team of kind of specialized, supercharged clones that are different from the regular clones in that they each are physically a little bit modified, but they each have a kind of it's almost a superpower, not quite that far, but they have a super ability that when you add them all together, they become this amazing, unstoppable force to be reckoned with in a military or conflict situation.
This must be terrific fodder for you guys to craft some stories and to give us some different perspectives on all this.
Absolutely. I mean, in this changing galaxy where the Empire is rising, but they're not at the full zenith of their power that we're familiar with in the original trilogy, there are gaps in power all across the galaxy. So who moves to start filling those gaps is really interesting. How our team deals with this changing universe and really just trying to survive is at the heart of our show. And yeah, the amount of stories we could tell out of that are almost infinite. It's really great.
They start off as this unit that the regular clones, consider defective, and a lot of the clones don't even know they exist. So the Bad Batch is used to taking on missions and kind of being under the radar. But when the Empire takes over, obviously they run things a little differently, and the Bad Batch definitely does not fit in. Whereas the other clone troopers, because of their chips, question the Empire's rule less and less, and there's more of a division.
Brad, why would Tarkin want to move away, and the Empire want to move away from clones and to human conscripts and to craft stormtroopers? Do they feel like the clones haven't been successful?
That is a really big question. I will say that we get into the why and the what and the when and the how in our show. Some of it I want to save for you to watch during the show, but we deal with all of that. It's something that, as a massive Star Wars fan myself, that I've always wondered, like, how did that happen? We see all the clones, and then the stormtroopers. What happened to all the clones? What made that decision? Why did they do that? Or we deal with all of that in the show, and it's a lot of fun. It's really fun.
That's awesome. So I was going to let Brad Rao kind of explain the show a little bit, but I asked him those questions earlier on in the season, and they're just getting to that in the Bad Batch. We are actually jumping into the finale, which is a two-part finale. Episode 14, which aired last Friday, I haven't talked about it yet, was just phenomenal. It really explores this move from the clone troopers to the stormtroopers, and even if that was just the focus of the show, there's a lot of other things going on, and lots of connected pieces and cameos with characters that we know and love from other things. But even if it was just Clone Wars moving and transitioning to stormtroopers, that is fascinating in and of itself. It's an incredible show, and I'm going to have a review of the whole season next week. I think I'm just going to let the finale play out, and then next week I'll recap it all and talk about how I feel about the show in general. But yeah, I'm so excited that season 2 kicks off in 2022. Good stuff there, Disney Plus. Also, Capcom has been celebrating Street Fighter V for a long time, and this week we got some news on what might be kind of the end of Street Fighter V and the beginning of Street Fighter VI. Earlier this week, Capcom threw the Street Fighter Summer Update, the Street Fighter V Championship Edition Summer Update, and we saw the producer Matsumoto-san and Nakayami-san, and they both talked a little bit about where they're going with the series. We saw a lot of stuff on the esports integration and some of the production elements. They had some behind-the-scenes stuff, which was really cool. But clearly, this is the way that video games in the fighting space are published now. You bring out sort of a core game that's presumably going to be worth the price of admission, and then you keep adding and adding and adding little elements. And so what they've introduced now are the final 3 DLC characters, and one of them is familiar to Street Fighter fans. This is Oro from Street Fighter 3, first time in the Street Fighter 5 kind of universe. I guess 4 kind of works as part of that as well, that sort of cel-shaded anime style. I love the look of 4 and 5. They're just such beautiful games. But Oro is this kind of mutated ancient monk type character, and he's got some pretty cool badass moves. They showed off a little bit of his combat style. He's got a turtle on his head, and so he's got quite the character. Super long neck, little tuft of hair on top of him, but some pretty awesome combat styles in there for sure. They also showed off a character that we haven't seen since Rival Schools, and I remember reviewing that one with Tommy way back in the day. This is Akira. I think Kazuma is her last name, and she was in the original Rival Schools games back in '97, I think, is when she debuted. So she has clearly graduated from school, and she's got some kick-ass moves of her own. She's got the schoolgirl outfit, of course, but she's also got badass motorcycle and some pretty good combat styles. And it's going to be fun to play as Akira and as Oro. But I think what happened with the summer update, the big news is that the final character has been revealed. And not only did they say that this is the final character, but he's kind of tipping to the future, and we don't know if that means this is a Street Fighter 6 character, but he is somebody that they are learning from going forward, and this character is named Luke, and here's a little bit of Luke in action. I like the style of this character quite a bit. He's super fast and very fluid. I feel like he's tapping into kind of the MMA fighting styles in some bigger ways. It's kind of like this idealized version of that, like this hyper animated kind of stylized iteration of what MMA fighting could be, but some really slick moves, really fast, really furious. And I'm not going to be able to go into detail. I'm not like an esports commentator on this stuff. I loved Street Fighter, though. I've been playing it forever. So I'm psyched to check these characters out for sure. But I got to tell you, I'm more psyched to see what Capcom has been hinting at and alluding to about Street Fighter 6. I presume that might be something we hear about maybe at the Game Awards later this year, or definitely for E3 next year. I think we're going to see something on Street Fighter 6 for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series consoles in the not-too-distant future. I think we're going to see some pretty cool stuff there. Okay, we're going to switch course big time from the Street Fighter juggernaut to a new Nicolas Cage movie called Pig. I was quite taken aback by this movie. I expected it to be, as I think a lot of folks would when you see the trailer, to be kind of in that John Wick kind of style of action picture, or something that you would see, maybe Liam Neeson in, or something like that. This was written by, and it's the directorial debut of Michael Sarnowski. He wanted to conceive something that was a little bit different, and so this is about a chef who has decided to, that's Nicolas Cage's character, he has decided to move into the forest, and he has moved away from the life that he knew. And he was a quite, renowned and successful chef, but he has decided to just sort of commune with nature and live in the woods in his cabin with his pig pal and hunt for truffles. Well, as you can tell in the trailer, something horrific happens. The pig gets kidnapped, and so Nicolas Cage's character has to go into town and start to ask questions. He asks help from a pal of his, played by Alex Wolff, who I just saw in Old. He's quite a chameleon, this Alex Wolff. You see him keep popping up in all kinds of things. And so, you see the trailer and you think, okay, well, Nicolas Cage is going to flip a switch and start just beating the crap out of everybody. But it's not that kind of a movie. It's a movie that's much more concerned with character and grief and sort of understanding your place in the world when you feel some really profound loss. And, of course, the pig factors into that equation, but there's a lot of depth and a lot of nuance and layers. I also love that we do get some scenes of Cage actually being a chef and projecting a little bit of humanity and a little empathy for the other characters that he surrounds himself with. From the very beginning of the film, he just looks like he's completely closed off and cut off. And it's, a character that Nicolas Cage kind of grunts and glowers through. He doesn't really say a lot of stuff, the lines in the script for him, not too huge. You believe him as a hermit. And I honestly was quite surprised by the pivot that the movie takes, and the softer touch that the film has. And so what I would say is that you have to go into this movie with a bit of an open mind, but I was quite moved. I was really quite surprised. And the other thing that I want to talk about too is that the last film that I saw was The Green Knight, which was also about an individual solo journey through nature and being closed off and trying to figure out his sense of identity. That was a character kind of at the beginning of his journey, and Nicolas Cage is a character clearly in an advanced stage of his journey. But there was a lot of reflection, and there was a lot of interaction and connection with nature. And the movie Pig is beautifully shot. It's not as fantastical as The Green Knight, but, kind of interesting bookends, at least in my mind, in the way that I've just seen both of these films. I recommend Pig. I think it's a really, really good movie, and we expect Nicolas Cage to kind of over-deliver and sort of be a little ham-fisted sometimes in his portrayals. He's incredibly brave as an actor, but sometimes he goes very big. And in this movie, it's reined in, and it's authentic, and it's honest, and it's kind of heartbreaking, and it's a weird kind of beautiful, but it is. I'm going to give Pig an 8 out of 10. All right, I've got a couple of quick things to tell you about. No More Heroes 3 is coming up on August 27th, and Nintendo and Suda51 and Grasshopper wanted to throw out a new trailer, kind of, I think, reining in all of the ideas that are going to be in this title. It's incredibly ambitious, and hopefully it runs quite well on the Nintendo Switch. Hopefully it's been ready for a while. They've been working on it for a long time, so hopefully there's been a lot of tuning, but it's a cool idea. These different different alien creations are supposed to be superheroes in quotations, and Travis Touchdown has to go and basically fight them all, because what happens is we see that these are not quite superheroes. They're more like complete psycho killers, and they start to destroy the Earth. And so basically the game is a nice setup of, it's kind of like a boss rush, you know? You're gonna obviously fight lots of little goons and stuff, but you're gonna be fighting these big-ass, you know, crazy, super-powered aliens with very interesting cut sequences and lots of insane dialogue. I love the art and the aesthetics of all of this stuff. It looks like album cover art, and it looks like, you know, Suda51 and his team had a blast making this. I mean, all of this is just like a music video from the 1980s or something like that. It's so surreal. Singing cats and taika drums and shaking lightsabers, bloody goon. I mean, you're on an Akira bike, the whole thing, man. I can't wait. No More Heroes 3 comes out August 27th, and that looks like a lot of fun. All right, we're going to talk about Y: The Last Man, which finally dropped its trailer. It's coming out on FX and on Hulu later this year. I think it's September, and they dropped a trailer. It's got a pretty interesting cast, as you could probably guess. There are a lot of female actors in this thing, headed up by Diane Lane. That's Paul Gross, by the way, a Canadian acting legend. He's been in tons of stuff. This is an incredible story that Brian K. Vaughan and Pia Guerrera put together. If you've never read the Y: The Last Man comics, you really need to. It's an incredible tale, as the name implies, where all the men on Earth die except for Yorick, except for one guy. And so the world is then run by the surviving women. And Y has to figure out his place in the world. He has a monkey named Ampersand, and he travels across America encountering all kinds of different people. And we're going to see, some really interesting characters. And it's another one of these dystopian nightmares where there's death all around and people have to kind of pick up the pieces, a little Walking Dead-like. Ben Schnetzer plays Yorick. Ashley Romans is in this. Elliot Fletcher. An eclectic cast of interesting people, and hopefully the show kind of does the story justice. It's an incredible graphic novel. If you have not read it, I absolutely recommend you reading it. You're going to be quite blown away by the storytelling, and you're going to wonder why it's taken so long for a television property or a movie to be made around Y: The Last Man, because it's perfect for this. I've got a couple more things. Axiom Verge 2 dropped a new trailer today, and Tom Happ, the sole developer that's kind of in charge of his baby, has gone on record as saying that he's become incredibly ambitious. This is Axiom Verge 1, and so in 2021, it's coming out this year for PlayStation and Nintendo. I think it's going to be out on everything. Expect that. But what was revealed today is that there is a breach world. There's basically two worlds in one, and you can jump in between the dimensions. You've got lots of cool new abilities, and it's not the same gameplay as Axiom Verge 1. It's a lot more up close and personal. You're going to be doing some hacking. There's some drones to take control of. And it just looks freaking fantastic. I don't know if our little hearts can take Metroid Dread and Axiom Verge 2 in the same fall time frame, but damn it, we're gonna try, right guys? I am so psyched for this. And finally, Riders Republic has got a beta that you can sign up for at the end of August. I think August 23rd to 27th. This is the Ubisoft game where you can jump on a mountain bike or in the wingsuits, and you're basically trying to stay alive and race your pals and challenge your pals in all kinds of different disciplines and kind of extreme sports disciplines. Looks a little bit like motorsports without the motor, you know? It looks really freaking fun. I'm honestly, I think this is the Ubi game that's in the pipeline that I am most excited for right now. So I will definitely get some hands-on time with this soon, and I'll come back with some thoughts. August 23rd to 25th, I believe it is a full public beta. You just have to sign up. So if that looks interesting to you, go ahead and do that. Riders Republic looks like a very fun experience. Okay, you guys, that's going to do it for the rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again soon with a brand new one for you. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button and that follow button. Thank you for becoming an EPN member on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/EPNTV. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. And until then, play forever.